Hey, it's 8:40, Big 550, KTRS, and no joke, Kat Neville from Feast Magazine. These last 2 weeks, you've been gallivanting all around the globe.
Gallivanting,
and
definitely.
Last week, I'm not kidding you, I forgot it was Thursday.
Well, because it's Wednesday.
No, last week when it was Thursday, I didn't know what day it was because I didn't have Kat Neville on Wednesday to set my clock for me.
Oh, well, and I'm
nice.
Here now.
Right, you're here now, so I know it's officially Wednesday. But
Yes.
last week I was like, what day is today? When is Kat coming? She hasn't been here in I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was going on. So
Where were you?
Last Wednesday, I was in Thailand, I believe, because I was in Vietnam for a week and a half and then spent 4 days in Thailand. And so we flew out on Friday. So yeah, I was in Thailand on Wednesday.
And you were smart. You brought me back a refrigerator magnet with a recipe.
Yes.
The classic Thai sticky rice with mango.
And coconut.
Ooh,
and coconut.
Oh, I mean,
Yummy.
it's amazing. The food over there is incredible. I mean, it's worth the price of the ticket alone just to have the authentic Vietnamese and
Now,
Thai
was that
food.
your first time there?
Yes.
Yes. And so the headlines.
The headlines. I mean, the headlines are the family architecture, just the food itself, the history of that part of the world. It's absolutely amazing, and the energy that is in Vietnam. When I mentioned the architecture, beyond all of the the temples and things like that, when you look at the restaurants and the homes, everything is open to the street, and so they close it up at night, but you can actually look directly into and through the restaurants, like when you're driving down these streets. And so they have all of these plastic tables or plastic stools where everybody kind of sits. They're very low to the ground, and everybody kind of sits there, and they just commiserate all day long. And in the south of the country, you'll see these hammocks in kind of like these cafes, again, because everything is open air. It's not closed in the way it is here with air conditioning.
Right.
And
as an American, how were you treated?
Oh, fantastic.
Really?
Oh, yeah. No, the people there are warm and open and hospitable, and it was just an amazing experience. And in Vietnam specifically, almost everybody is on either a bicycle or mainly these scooters.
Right.
And, so it's very different from here, where you have these cars and you're closed in. There you can see everybody's faces, and it's just all of this energy, and families will be on these scooters where there's like a little baby in the front standing up, and then there's mom, and then there's a 5-year-old in the middle, and dad's on the back, and they've got their groceries and everything, and it was wonderful, and I cannot wait to go back.
Really?
How was the food experience, do you think, different than what you've been used to? Because what we consider sometimes authentic is really
Good question.
Well, what's interesting to me is that when you go, for example, to Mai Li, which I wanted to mention because so Quy Tran, his mother, opened up Mai Li, which was the very first Vietnamese restaurant in St. Louis. And I actually saw his aunt and went to her home and had dinner with her in Can Tho, which is spelled Cantho.
Now, you were planning on meeting up with her?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
so
you
we had this
just randomly
connection.
see her on the street.
No.
Okay.
And no.
Hey!
Hey, I think I know you. No, I mentioned to Quy that I was going to be visiting Vietnam. He said, well, you're going to have to meet my aunt. And so we went and had our interpreter. And so we dined with her beautiful family in their home and had all these different really interesting dishes. So there was a chicken dish that was, everything in Vietnam is extremely fresh. And so when you go to the market, the meat is just laid out for you to choose. The fish is still wriggling. You go and you buy produce from the people that grew it. And it's very, again, kind of like close to the earth.
Right.
And in Vietnamese cooking, the focus is not only on the freshness of the meats and the seafood, but also all of the herbs and lettuces and things like that. And so, one of the things that really characterizes Vietnamese food is these fresh, like basil and mint and all of this kind of stuff. Spring rolls, when you have spring rolls in places like Mai Li, spring rolls are everywhere in Vietnam, and they've stuffed it with different things and the rice crepes. So anyway, when I when I dined with Quee's aunt, she had chicken that was fed only on rice. We had these prawns that were river prawns from the Mekong River that were caught the day before, and she one of them she steamed in beer, and the other one had all of these chilies, and then there were big bowls of steamed rice, and then this beautiful what they call a tangy soup that you can get on the menu at Miley. I was very specific to ask. And that is, so Vietnamese cuisine, you find a lot of soups on the menu. Pho is the one that is the most famous, and that's spelled Pho, but it's pronounced pho. And obviously at Miley, they make an amazing version. But try the tangy soup because the flavor has like this wonderful fresh sourness to it, and like there's chunks of tomato floating in the broth, and wonderful seafood, and it's just wonderful.
Miley is behind Best Buy.
Yes.
On Eager Road, I guess.
No, it's 8936 Music Memorial Boulevard. And so what they have is massive...
But that's behind the Best Buy.
Behind Best Buy,
right,
exactly right. But that's the actual address. But... So when you go to Miley, and there are a number of other fantastic, obviously, Vietnamese restaurants in St. Louis, the food really is an authentic reflection of what it is that you would get in Vietnam.
That is so important to know, isn't it? Because I want to know. I know you don't quite do the whole vegetable thing, but I really do want to know.
I don't hate vegetables.
We've been having this discussion the last couple of days, but I do want to know that it's fresh and that
and that it's
that
authentic.
it comes off that they use those spices, because the whole point of having ethnic cuisine is to experience that which they have brought to that.
And it's that cultural connection. And so much when you're traveling, eating the food of the place where you go is a way to connect with the culture of where you're visiting. And it's more than just seeing the art or again, just kind of like getting on a tuk-tuk in Bangkok. And we ate so much street food in Bangkok, and like curry. There was this one place that was just you're just walking down the street, and we see these tanks of live prawns and fish on ice and mussels and all this kind of stuff. And we look down the alley, and there's like 10 tables, and they're cooking in a kitchen just beyond, but it literally is an alley with a tarp over, and it's some of the best food I've ever had in my life.
So you so miss you're going to go to Miley today, or you want to talk about it because you miss Vietnam.
Well, and also so many people are like, well, okay, so tell me about your experience. Right. And one of the wonderful things about St. Louis is that we have a huge array of ethnic cuisines, and you can dine around the world here in St. Louis. So if you want a taste of of Vietnam, definitely head over to Miley.
All right, it's and that's it. You mentioned that whatever road that was, it's behind.
Music
it's behind the Best Buy.
Yes.
It's behind the Best Buy on Eager Road,
and it's right by that Metrolink stop.
Right, exactly. Okay, quickly, what's number 2?
Number 2 is Publico, which is a brand new, Central and South American mainly restaurant in the Loop, and the address is 6679 Del Mar Boulevard, and it's brought to you by Mike Randolph, who also owns Half and Half and The Good Pie. And so the food here, he's doing really interesting tacos. The lamb tacos are especially good. He's doing ceviches, which are the crudos. He's calling it crudo, but the striped bass had enoki mushrooms and this it's called tiger's milk, which is actually leche de tigre. And what they do is they take all of that wonderful liquid left over from all the different crudos, and they mix it together with coconut milk, and it's delicious.
And it's called Publico?
Publico, yes, is the name of the restaurant. Right. It's beautiful, designed by Space. It's relatively small. They do have a great emphasis on their bar program. They're focusing on rums and tequilas and mezcal, which is like a smoky tequila. And they have arepas on the menu, which you don't see very many of, really? Which is a really nice kind of a thick corn pancake, topping that with a bunch of different wonderful things. And they have small plates. I really love the beets, where they take beets that are pickled and raw and also roasted, and it's served with like toasted quinoa Wonderful stuff.
Nice.
Do you-
We're out of time.
Of course we are.
By the way, we should say that the two of you have Emmys and Oscars and Tonys, right? Is that right, together?
Tonys? Did we have a Tony?
You have a
Yes,
Tony?
because we have
Oh,
a
yes,
sing and
we had
dance
a
routine.
Tony.
Yes, all right. I got 30 seconds. What's going on with Feast magazine?
Oh my goodness. Well, the current issue is the chef's issue, and one of the things I'm most proud of in this in the current issue is the our focus on the up and comers. So we went and we asked the guys that are running some of the best restaurants in the region, who
Right.
do you think is coming up next? And for example, over at Niche, where they have focused on they've restricted their ingredients to regional things that are only grown regionally. The pastry program, the dessert program, also is only regional, and so we focus on their pastry chef.
Feastmagazine.com.
Yes.
Pick it up in newsstands everywhere. You can also subscribe. Feastmagazine.com for all of the Feast world.
Yes.
Good to have you back.
Thank you.
All right. Jimmy's on the Park sponsors Cat Neville and has done so for the last 9 years.
Forever.
It's been 9 years. Yeah,
been more
don't
than
ever
that, I
leave for
think.
2 weeks again. I didn't know what day it was. 725-8585 is the website, is the phone number for Jimmy's Cafe. The website is jimmyscafe.com. The patio is open. Gorgeous patio. Don't forget to make reservations for Easter brunch. It starts at 10, featuring live jazz from Jim Matheny, Mark Fredericks, and the Bistro Bar. Jimmy's on the Park, 706 DeMunn in